Hello everyone, I hope you all are fine. Let us begin today's session. Do not worry, it is not a PT session, it is a science session only. I want you to look at the given picture properly and think over it. Think over it. How do you play a football? I hope you got the answer. When your eyes see that the football is coming towards to you, then what happens? You kick the football by your legs. Now what actually is happening? The eyes will see the football coming towards to you. Then that information will be transferred to the brain interprets that, and it will give message to muscles in your legs to kick the football. Then the muscles in the legs will receive that information, and that muscles in the legs will kick the football. This is the one example. Let us look at the another example. Do not worry, I am not going to frighten you all. Think over a situation when a person is sitting on the chair and from somewhere suddenly a tiger comes. What the man will do? The man will run. Why is it happening? When the eyes see that the tiger is coming, then that information will be sent to the brain, and brain interprets the information and will say to run or to walk. This is another example. Next is the example when you are cooking your favorite dish and suddenly you touch that hot pan. What happens? You will suddenly take your hand back. Why is it so? Who is telling you to take your hand back? Because when you touch the surface of the hot pan, the information will be transferred to the brain, and brain sends message to take your hand back. It is too quick process, isn't it? It is. By these examples, we saw that there is a control over the activities which we perform, and there should be coordination between these different activities of our life. Now, what is the meaning of coordination? Let me explain you by another example. Think of a group who are dancing. So, when they are dancing, when it is called a group, when they are performing same steps. Sometimes their costumes are same, they perform similar steps, and everything, whole dance performance, they give in a synchronized manner, a well organized manner. Okay, so there should be synchronization, organization between all the members of the dance group. Then only it can be said as good. Similarly, in our body also, there should be synchronization, organization between different organs of the body so that they can work together in harmony to perform different activities of life. All the examples which we saw in that also, all the different organs have to perform their own job, their own activities. At the same time, they have to synchronize between all other organs also to perform in harmony. So, coordination is the synchronization between different organs of the body so that they can work together in harmony. And at the same time, they are performing their own activities also. So, now we will learn chapter number 7, Control and Coordination. This was the introduction. I hope I made it clear what is control and coordination. All the living organisms respond and react to change in the environment around them. Now, all the living organisms respond and react. Now, in all these examples which we saw, in that we have seen that they react when there is a change in their life, when there is something new in the activity. So they give response and they react also. Okay, for example, when the boy sees the football coming towards him, so what he will do? He will respond and he will react by kicking the football. So the change in the environment to which organisms respond and react are called stimuli, such as light, heat, cold, sound, or smell. So these are the different changes which I spoke. Light, heat, cold, sound, and smell. We all living organism give response as well as we react to this kind of changes in the environment. Both plants and animals respond to stimuli but in different manner. Now what is stimuli? Stimuli is what? Change. Okay. And plants and animals both respond to this stimuli, but their ways are different. Now first we will see in animals. In animals, this can be done in two ways. One, nervous system, and second, endocrine system. So nervous system and endocrine system helps for control and coordination in animals. So let us talk about the first one, nervous system. In nervous system, control and coordination are provided by nervous tissues and muscular tissues. Now in standard 9 we have already learned about tissues, where we learned nervous tissues and muscular tissues both. Let us talk about nervous tissues. Nervous tissue is made up of an organized network of nerve cells or neurons. Here, you need to recall that in chapter number 6, tissues of standard 9, we have already learned about neurons. And do you remember that I have already told you that in standard 10, we are going to learn again. So, here it is. Nervous tissue is made up of an organized network of nerve cells or neurons. The name of nerve cell is what? Neuron. And it is specialized for conducting information via electrical impulses. The function of this neurons is to conduct information via electrical impulses. Now, before we learn how this actually happens, let me talk you about receptors. This is an extra information about receptors which you already know. What are receptors, students? Receptors are specialized tips of some nerve cells. Tips of nerve cells which detect the information from the environment. Who will detect the information from the environment? Who will do that? These are the changes in the environment. Who will say this all? So they are called receptors who gather information from the environment. Where are they located? They are located in our sensory organs. What are sensory organs? They are ears, eyes, skin, nose, tongue, etc. Okay, so let me tell you about that also. Ears are called as phonoreceptors. Why? Phono means hearing. So their function is to hear. Then next is eyes. They are said as photoreceptors because photoreceptors, that means they have to see the things. Skin, it is said as thermoreceptors. Why thermoreceptors? Because it gives the message information about the temperature, whether it is hot, cold. When we touch anything, it will give information about heat or cold. The next is nose. It is called as olfactory receptor. Why is it so? In chapter 2 we learnt about olfactory indicators. Do you remember? What is their function? To detect the smell. Same way, nose is said as olfactory receptor because it detects the smell. Next is tongue. Tongue is called gustatory receptor. Why? Their function is to detect the taste. So these are the examples of receptors and sense organs. Now let us talk about neuron. It is a structural and functional unit of nervous system which we all know. There are three main parts of neuron. One is dendrite, second is cell body, and third is axon. You need to remember there are three main parts of neuron. One is dendrite, second is cell body, and third is axon. What are dendrites? Look into the figure. Dendrites are the thin hair-like structure and their function is to acquire information. Second is cell body. What does it do? It transmit acquired information into electrical impulse. And axon, you can see there is a long structure, fiber like structure, that is axon. What does it do? It passes that electrical impulse from cell body to dendrite of next neuron. Now let us see how does it work. We all know that this sense organ will acquire information from the environment. This information, where will it be acquired? Acquired at the end of dendrite tip of a nerve cell. What will it do? It will have some chemical reaction with it and it will convert that acquired information into electrical impulse. Now what will happen next step? This impulse will go from dendrite to the cell body and then it will go to axon end. Axon is the longest fiber. It will go to axon. At the end of axon, the electrical impulses, they set off release of some chemicals and these chemicals need to cross the gap or synapse. Now students, at the nerve ending, you can see at the nerve ending with this one neuron, another neuron will be attached. So with the nerve ending of first neuron, dendrite of second neuron will be there. At the end of nerve ending of first neuron, what will be there? Dendrite of second neuron. So there will be a gap between the two. Okay, so this gap is said as synapse. You need to remember the gap is said as synapse. A gap between nerve ending of one neuron and dendrite of other neuron. Remember students, synapse is the gap between nerve ending of one neuron and dendrite of other neuron. What will happen here? Here the electrical impulse will be converted into chemical signal for further transmission. So, at the dendrite, information is acquired. In the cell body, information travels as electrical impulse and synapse, where impulse must be converted into chemical signal for further transmission. So what actually happens? The information which is acquired by sense organ, that will be acquired by dendrite, and that acquired information will be converted into electrical impulse. This electrical impulse will travel from dendrite to cell body, and from cell body it will pass to axon. What is axon? That is longest fiber-like structure. And at the end of axon there is no ending. So there they need to cross the gap. What is the gap? Synapse. It is the gap between nerve ending of one neuron and dendrite of other neuron. So there it will be converted again into chemical signal, which will be used for further transmission. So this is how it works and the function of neuron.